If you're brand new to Bitcoin but don't see what the hype is about, this video may change your mind. In several of my previous videos, I've highlighted one key fact about Bitcoin, that there will never be more than 21 million. I've also explained why that's such an important feature because it means it can't be debased like the government-issued paper currencies everyone is accustomed to using. Having a money that cannot be devalued by anyone really is revolutionary. Check the links below to see how I unpacked that. And hit the subscribe, like, and notification bell. But there's another aspect to the fixed supply of Bitcoin which may be lost on people, which is the focus of this video. There's a well-understood law in economics, namely the law of supply and demand. It describes how the price of something, say a loaf of bread, is set by the free market. Let's say there's a particularly bad growing season for wheat in your country due to a large-scale drought. That lack of wheat will make it hard for bakers to produce bread since they won't easily be able to get the flour they need. But assuming the demand for bread by people is the same this year as in previous years, but there aren't as many loaves on the shelf, the demand will outstrip the supply. So what happens when there's lots of demand for something, but limited supply? The price naturally goes up. People who really want bread will have to outbid others and pay more to get the bread they want. What's the next thing that happens, though? In a free market, some enterprising individuals will naturally try to source wheat flour from, say, a neighboring country where maybe they had a better wheat crop that year. They are financially incentivized to go to the effort of importing wheat to get more bread to the market because of the higher bread prices. If they import enough to cover the local shortage of wheat flour and can get it into the hands of bakers to make more bread, then the prices will come back down. If they overdo it and bring in even more flour and bakers go crazy making bread, the price per loaf will fall even lower if the supply exceeds the demand. And this applies to commodities like oil, silver, and even gold. If the market demand for gold suddenly increased, the price would rise, but then gold producers would be incentivized to mine more gold to sell it at the new price point until a new equilibrium was reached between the supply and the demand. This would naturally limit how high the price of gold would get. Now consider Bitcoin. While I've repeatedly said that there is an absolutely fixed supply limit of 21 million Bitcoins, what I haven't yet mentioned is that the rate at which new Bitcoins are produced is also fixed. I can explain more about that in a future video. But the practical outcome of this is that unlike things like bread or gold, even if the demand for Bitcoin rises, the supply cannot increase beyond the fixed schedule of Bitcoin production. So in this case, based on the law of supply and demand, there can only be one outcome. The price of Bitcoin must go up. And this is exactly what we've seen over the history of Bitcoin. Since it was first released and began to be traded on the market, as more and more people became interested in owning it, the price has marched steadily higher. It had to. This is a graph of the 200-week moving average of the price of Bitcoin in USD, which shows how consistently the price has climbed as Bitcoin adoption increased over time. I do not give financial advice, but anyone looking into Bitcoin as an investment really only needs to consider one question. Will the number of people adopting Bitcoin continue to go up or not? As of now, in 2025, it's estimated there are about 150 million people who own any significant amount of Bitcoin. That's less than 2% of the global population. Given the fact that Bitcoin can be used by anyone as money to send value to anyone in the world with an internet connection, it's clear that Bitcoin adoption is really just in the very beginning stages. Despite that, it's already seen a massive increase in price over the past 15 years. If more people continue to adopt Bitcoin, the price must go higher. It's that simple. This is why there's so much excitement over Bitcoin. As I've explained, because of its fixed supply, not only will Bitcoin never be debased like government-issued paper currencies, which makes it a good store of value, but it may even increase significantly in value over time if the adoption trend continues. One more question which newcomers to Bitcoin often ask, though, is, what should the ultimate value of Bitcoin be? What actually makes it valuable? I'll tackle that in another video. So be sure to hit subscribe, like, and the notification bell so you don't miss it. Also, check out my free resource at the link below.